Alright, now that you clicked this video because you agreed with the title and wanted me to rant and rave and talk about bad things in the world of Destiny through the purposeful and completely open clickbait that I did, let's talk about 3 of Coins and why they might have been added to the game and why they might not be so bad. When talking about 3 of Coins, so many people are so focused on what they did in Destiny 1 that they just assume they're going to play the same role in Destiny 2. Ultimately, at face value, 3 of Coins haven't changed. They provide an increased drop rate for exotics for 4 hours to all activities in the game, and it's at this point that people stop thinking about it logically and get angry and assume this is just a step backwards, and say that this is the exact opposite of what this game needs, saying we wanted more grind, not less. And I could agree with that thought process, but I think there's more than face value here. I've said it numerous times, whether it be on Twitter, in the Discord, or in a video, but a lot of the Destiny community doesn't know what they want. And many times, I feel Bungie has to sit through all the feedback that we provide them and make the best decision they can based on that feedback. Let's take a look at everything being added in the December updates coming on the 5th and the 12th. We have Masterwork weapons, we have the ability to purchase specific pieces of gear from vendors for legendary shards, we have ornaments available for purchase from many vendors, we have faded engrams for legendary shards, we have the ability to purchase specific mods from Banshee, the ability to purchase legendary engrams from Raoul for legendary shards, and Zavala and Shaxx will be selling gift items that provide additional rewards for everyone in the activity at the cost of legendary shards. Now you may have noticed a common theme here. Most of what I listed requires legendary shards in order to obtain them. I asked you guys in a poll on my community tab on my channel how many legendary shards you currently have, and about half of you said you had 1,000 or more. To some this may seem like a lot, and to some of you this may seem like a small number. I followed that question up with what are your thoughts of the addition of 3 of Coins, and about 56% of you said that it was a bad addition. And what I'm going to attempt to do with this video is to put in perspective as to how your legendary shards will disappear very quickly and what this has to do with the addition of 3 of Coins. Let's pretend we have 1,000 legendary shards. Let's first go through every vendor and purchase every piece of legendary armor that they have to offer and purchase the weekly weapon. We're going to assume that all armor costs 10 because what they showed us, the one armor piece did cost 10, and we're just going to assume that weapons also cost 10 legendary shards. This takes the grand total cost to 60 shards per vendor. And those vendors are Zavala, Shaxx, Devrin, Sloan, Failsafe, Asher, and then we have our Cora who will cost 50 shards because she doesn't have a weapon. In total, that is 410 shards to purchase everything on offer on day 1 of Curse of Osiris. All this is also assuming that you only do it on one character. If this were every armor piece for every character, this makes that 410 total into a total of 1,010 shards. However, we all know that most of us have a random assortment of armor pieces and weapons and won't need to buy them all. So because of this, let's say to complete your sets, you'll need to spend about 500 shards. So at this point, of that 1,000 total we started with, we've already reduced that down to 500. We then, of course, when Friday rolls around, be tempted to purchase a faded engram for 97 shards in order to acquire one of the new exotics or to finish your collection that has been missing a couple exotics since launch. This single faded engram would reduce our new total of 500 shards, assuming we purchase everything, down to 403 shards. Also, at the time of creating this video, we don't know if faded engrams are once per account or once per character. If they are in fact once per character, that's another 194 shards down the drain, yet again reducing our total shard count to 209. There's also a good chance that Xur will also be selling a new weapon or armor piece that is new with the Curse of Osiris. This is yet another anywhere from 23 to 29 shards, let's say 25 shards, reducing that 209 total down to 184 shards. That 184 shard total from 1,000 shards. We haven't even mentioned infusion to reach the new power level cap. We haven't purchased any legendaries from Raoul in attempt to get masterwork weapons. We don't know how much it'll cost to re-roll the random aspect on masterwork weapons, and we haven't even purchased 3 of Coins yet, nor do we know the cost of 3 of Coins, which I can only assume is going to be legendary shards. The entire point I'm making here is that I personally think that Bungie is trying to pull away from the endgame goal of having all the exotics and instead is focusing on directing us towards masterwork weapons, and in the future presumably masterwork armor. No matter the case, these masterwork weapons and in the future armor will undoubtedly cost legendary shards to craft, obtain, and re-roll. and we as players will be starving for legendary shards. And this doesn't even mention the large portion of the player base that doesn't have 1,000+ shards to burn. I feel 3 of Coins were implemented for 2 reasons. The first reason, I think, is the very obvious one, the one that everyone's angry about, and that is to help the Weekend Guardians, the ones that don't have a lot of time to play, giving them the ability to obtain exotics on a very regular interval. The second, however, is the one that I don't think a lot of people are thinking about, is to give us veteran players a regular source of exotics that in turn dismantle into 5 legendary shards each, which per item is the best source of legendary shards in the game. That's not saying it's the best source of legendary shards, but it's definitely the best source per item. This all tying together, I feel, was implemented to provide a larger influx of legendary shards. Right now, needing legendary shards seems wasteful, and for a lot of us we have more than 1,000 in some cases. But we have this amount of shards because up until now we didn't have a use for them. But in the grand scheme of things, those 1,000 shards, that's a pretty small number. We obtained them at a rate of only 12 per day. Now, I'm fully aware that the argument running through your head right now might be that, Matt, we didn't earn only 12 per day, we just have 12 left over after we spent them on everything we could possibly spend them on. And that is true. We did spend some of them. But what this means is even with the old system in place, this left us with only 12 extra shards per day, assuming that you have only about 1,000. And if we take this whole example one step further, and let's assume that you want to use Master Raoul to purchase Ledger Engrams to search for those Masterwork legendaries. If we're safe in that assumption, let's also make another assumption, and the cost per legendary engram is only about 25 legendary shards each. That means that 1 legendary engram is 2 days worth of surplus shards. If we purchase just 5 of them, that is 10 days worth of excess shards. And if we do this for a week at a rate of 5 per day, we've already burned through every single shard that we've earned since launch that we had in access. Whether we're a Weekend Guardian that only has a couple hours to play or a veteran player, we will need shards in the Curse of Osiris, and I think that's why we have 3 of Coins in the game. Now, I will admit I made quite a few assumptions in this video, whether that be the cost of things, or Bungie's intentions, or how the community is going to go after Masterworks, and all of that could be just said, well, you're just making assumptions you don't know, but I can argue right back and say, so are you. Also, you may argue that if you compare this to my recent videos, this was the first time I've actually defended a decision Bungie has made with the Curse of Osiris in some time. I've been incredibly harsh on Bungie, but that is purely because I want this game to be the best it can be. There's also a strong chance that even after this video, if you were against the addition of 3 of Coins, you're probably still against them, and I can appreciate that, but it's always good to look at things from another perspective. Even I, the one trying to convince you, the viewer, through the use of this video, that the addition of 3 of Coins may not be all that bad, I as well am still very cautious and slightly worried that 3 of Coins may hinder the experience in the long run. Regardless of how you feel about them, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the insight that I tried to provide, and if you did, I'd greatly appreciate it if you hit that like button. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. Do the normal description things like joining the Discord, following me on Twitter, and clicking the other various links down below. With all that said, once again, and as always, regardless how you feel about the topic of this video, I thank you for your continued support. But I'm going to get out of here. Say my name is Matt, and I'll see you guys next time.